up guys, it's Ocean here, and today I'm bringing you a recipe for an ali'i mushroom oxtail soup. Let's get started. For this recipe, you will need 2 pounds of oxtail, 3 tablespoons of oil, 3 gallons of water, salt to taste, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 slivers of crushed ginger, 8 ounces of ali'i mushrooms, half a Chinese cabbage, optional, mustard cabbage, cilantro to garnish, and ginger to garnish. This recipe is fairly simple, but it's going to take some time. If you're planning to have this for dinner, you're going to want to start it earlier in the day because the oxtail is going to take at least 3 hours to tenderize. So let's get into it. First, we're going to add our oil to our pot. Our pot is on high heat. Let it heat up for a second. Next, I have 3 slivers of ginger. We're going to add them into our pot. I crush them a little bit just so that it gives off more flavor. I'm moving my ginger around, letting it brown. It's gonna give your oil a nice flavor and the essence of the ginger root are really gonna come out. Now we're gonna add in our oxtail. Be careful because it will splash. When browning, at first we don't want to move our meat around. We're gonna let it go for at least 2 minutes. It's gonna give it a nice brown crust. I let my oxtail go for a couple of minutes, and now it has a nice golden color, and that's what we're looking to achieve. As my dad says, if you brown your oxtail really well, you'll get a rich, savory, mean flavor, and you can quote him on that. Now that my meat is almost done browning, I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, because remember, you always want to season your food. Now we're just going to give it a few stirs. Now that my meat has finished browning, I'm going to add in my water. This whole recipe calls for 3 gallons of water, but for now, we're only going to use 1.5 gallons. We're going to use the rest later. Now, I'm adding in my mushroom soy sauce. If you don't have mushroom soy sauce, normal soy sauce will be fine. I'm going to give it a quick stir. Turn our fire down to medium heat, put a cover on. We're gonna let our oxtail simmer for a total of 3 hours. Make sure to check it every once in a while, but in an hour to an hour and a half, we're gonna move on to the next step. We're at that halfway point. It's been an hour to an hour and a half. Our water level has reduced by half, and now we're gonna add in our sliced ali'i mushrooms. Mushrooms aren't common in oxtail soups, but with all these amazing ali'i mushrooms, how could I not add them in? They're so hearty, they're gonna act like a sponge and they're gonna soak up all that amazing broth. Thank you again to Bob and Janice. These are some beautiful mushrooms, amazing farm, and we're so happy to partner with Hamuko Mushrooms. As you can see, our water level did reduce by half. The meat is sticking out, and as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna add the other portion of our water. Make sure to keep that fire on medium heat. Put your lid on. We're gonna let it go for another hour and a half to complete our 3 hours. I didn't want to make my camera lady work all night, so I made some oxtail that's already in its final stage. Naturally, your oxtail soup will have some oil on the top because of the fat in the oxtail meat and the oil that you use to brown the meat. So my preference is to just take a ladle and skim that top layer off because due to the density of the oil and your broth, the oil will always float to the top. So I like to just skim that top layer off and then you're ready to go. And remember, you don't want to throw away all of your stock. Just that top layer of oil. And with this, we can just dispose of it. Alright guys, the 3 hours have passed. Our soup is at a nice boil. We already skimmed off our oil, and I'm sure you're ready to eat. So let's get into our veggies. Here on my board, I got some chopped Chinese cabbage, and it's optional, but I love mustard cabbage inside of my oxtail soup. I know it looks like a lot, but I love my greens and it will reduce once it gets into the heat. Give it a quick stir, mix up the cabbage with the oxtail, put a cover on, and then shut your fire off completely. In a couple of minutes, that'll be ready to go. Finish your oxtail with some chopped ginger root and some fresh cilantro from JA Farms. No need for words. I'm gonna dig in. Until next time, bye guys.